Hi, Epic Recaps here, and today I am going to explain to you a 2015 sports drama titled Southpaw. If you want to be spoiled, keep watching. The film opens in a locker room, and a boxer named Billy the Great Hope is getting prepped for his next match. His wife Maureen arrives, and growing up as orphans, the two have managed to hold each other up and share a tender moment before he takes the stage. Before a large crowd in Madison Square Garden, Billy fights against Darius Jones and takes some hits to the face as a nervous Maureen looks on. Billy, who's known for his brutal, fast-paced fighting style, appears to be in trouble with a bleeding left eye. After a quick pep talk, he does quick work on his opponent and knocks Jones down, winning the match and earning the junior middleweight title. With the crowd on its feet, Maureen and Billy celebrate on stage in front of the lights and cameras. Back in the locker room, despite the victory, Maureen looks on with concern after Billy heads to the shower to wash off his wounds. Later, in front of cameras and reporters, a younger upstart boxer named Miguel Magic Escobar comes in and challenges Billy to a fight. Billy laughs him off and leaves the stage, but in the back with Jordan, his manager, demands that the fight get set up with Miguel. Told that the match will not bring in money, Billy accuses his man of thinking he's the weaker opponent. Calming himself down, he apologizes for losing his temper and walks off. After a long night, Billy and Maureen arrive home to their daughter Layla, who's pretending to be sleeping. Billy climbs into her bed and steals some time with her before Maureen arrives and chides them for still being awake. Back in their bedroom, the couple flirts and then begins to argue when Maureen suggests he take a break from fighting. Billy gets defensive when she tells him he's taking longer to get his knockouts, and after reminding him that he fights for her and Layla, he settles down and tells her he'll do whatever she wants. The pair make up and end the night in each other's arms. The next morning, Billy wakes up feeling the effects of last night's fight and reads a note from Maureen before giving it a kiss and readies himself for the day. Later that afternoon, Layla is playing outside as Maureen and Jordan lounge by the posh pool. Jordan hands her a deal from HBO for $30 million and the pair go back and forth over what's best for Billy. When he joins them, Jordan mentions the deal to Billy, who lets Maureen deal with it, saying they'll think about it. That evening, the couple get ready for a fundraiser ball benefiting their old orphanage. Billy attempts to finish his speech but has trouble getting his jumbled thoughts down. Maureen manages to talk him down as she always does, while Layla knowingly watches on. In his heartfelt speech, he acknowledges his inner circle and Maureen, whom he met all at the orphanage. At the end of the evening, Miguel approaches him, telling him not to take his jabs personally and it's all for show. When Billy doesn't acknowledge him, Miguel shouts some profanity aimed at Maureen. Stopping in his tracks, she tries to convince him to let it go, but after another taunt, Billy walks over and punches him in the face, leading to a brawl between them and both their entourages. One of Billy's boys takes out a gun, but a shot rings out without him pulling the trigger. Billy hears Maureen calling to him and running to her, sees that she's been hit. Miguel is equally horrified and sees it was his brother Hector that fired the shot. He takes Hector's gun and hides it before fleeing. Billy holds Maureen in his arms and begs her to hold on when she says she wants to go home. The camera pans out as she slowly dies in his arms. In the days following the shooting, Billy is unable to hold it together for Layla, who is deeply aware of how much her father needed her mother. Utterly devastated by Maureen's death, Billy screams into his bed. After loading the gun, he cries alone as he contemplates his next move and heads out to look for Miguel and Hector. When his friend John, who's been waiting outside, tries to stop him, he pulls a gun on him and in his grief, tells him that he failed at keeping Maureen safe. Arriving at Hector's apartment, his junkie wife Maria answers the door. When Billy asks for Hector and holds a gun at her, she uses her kids as a shield and calls him crazy. Unable to go through with his plan, he collapses against a wall and vomits. Months pass and Billy is doing no better with his grief and continues to self-destruct. At a meeting with his accountant and Jordan, Simon tells him that the bills are piling up with more money going out than coming in, and recommends he sell the house and cars. Having not overseen the financial aspects of their lives, Billy is at a loss. Jordan smooths things over and tells Simon they will come up with the money. When he leaves, Jordan suggests that they sign the HBO contract, and a grateful Billy tells him he's always been like family. 8 weeks later, Billy enters the ring, and gets knocked around, sustaining multiple face wounds. He looks over to where Maureen would have been and begins to lose his focus. When the ref wants to call the fight, Billy attacks him in a rage, breaking his nose. Afterward, he finds himself all alone on the shower floor, exactly as Maureen had feared would happen. The next day, Billy learns that he's been suspended for a year, and has to liquidate his assets to pay the creditors. Promising to recommit to training, he's told that the trainer is unavailable because he's working with Miguel, as is Jordan. Feeling betrayed, he gets up and tells Jordan he's done with him. Back at home, Layla sends her dad a text. Unable to face his daughter, he's spent the day abusing drugs and is parked on a hill overlooking the house. Replaying the moments leading up to Maureen's death, he can't cope with his guilt and runs his car into a tree. Layla hears the collision and makes her way to the foyer where she discovers her father bleeding on the floor, and frantically cries out for help. At the hospital, he goes in and out of consciousness, and when he finally awakens, he learns that Child Services has taken Layla away. At a court hearing, the judge determines that due to his recent reckless behavior, he is unfit to care for Layla, who will be placed into protective custody. Billy tries to hug Layla but the guards hold him back. A few weeks later, the house gets repossessed, as do all of Billy's possessions. The only thing he's left with is a pile of Maureen's notes that he's kept over the years. Sitting outside his foreclosed house, a forgiving John drives Billy to the Wills gym where he meets former boxer, Tick Wills, his last opponent's trainer. Blind in one eye from his last fight, Tick knows who Billy is, and states that he won the last fight before the ref made the call. Billy wants Tick to get him back on his feet, but Tick is wary, knowing what the former champ has been through. When he offers Billy a janitorial job, he's insulted and turns the man down to head back to his empty apartment. The next day, Billy meets with a social worker named Angela Rivera, and admits that he's a mess but he still wants to see his daughter. She tells him that Layla is her first priority before she brings the little girl in for a visit. Not her usual happy self, she outright tells her dad you fucked up, and lets him know it's his fault they're both in this situation. She gets up to leave and ignores his pleas to come back. Billy waits outside the gym and humbly tells Tick he'll accept the job, and gets straight to work. While there, he befriends a kid named Hoppy, who is also an aspiring boxer, as Tick keeps a close eye over them. Struggling with his own demons, Billy finds Tick in a dive bar and attempts to bond with the grumpy man. Billy is angered when Tick pushes him too far, asking what his role was in his wife's death. When he storms out, Tick points out that he's hit rock bottom because of his anger. A few moments pass and Billy returns. Taking a seat, he's ready to talk and admits he's lost, and has no plans, breaking Layla's heart in the process. Tick wisely tells him that she's trying to survive just the same as him, and that Billy can't put his grief on his daughter when she has her own to cope. In the following weeks, Billy pushes himself to become a version Maureen would be proud of, spending his waking hours at the gym. Still angry at her father, Billy continues to stop by even though she's a no-show. One night, Tick casually informs him that his training begins the next day. Billy commits himself to Tick's program, and grows a liking to the older mentor, even mentioning that Maureen would have loved him. Billy appears for his next court hearing and is informed that the situation remains the same, and the judge extends the ruling for another 30 days. Noticing that Tick is there for support, the two men later bond at a diner. Later at the gym, Billy is invited to take part in a match for a local charity. Tick gives him his blessing, so long as he practices what he's learned, and does rely on anger to win. Before leaving, Billy mentions that Hoppy has been going through some troubles at home and Tick tells him they'll step in to help if needed. Billy visits Layla, who shows up this time, to tell her about the match. Wanting to see him fight, he tells her he has no say in the decision. Feeling let down again, Layla starts slapping Billy, blaming him for everything and telling him that it should have been him that died, instead of her mom. Billy wins the charity match with Tick by his side. Afterward, he gets a visit from Jordan, who wants to put on a fight between Billy and the crown champ Miguel in 6 weeks' time in Las Vegas. He tells Billy he can pull some strings and get his suspension reduced. Billy thinks it could be his shot back to the top and wants Tick to train him for a comeback, but Tick turns him down, unable to face his own fears. When Billy returns to the gym, he finds Tick furiously going at a punching bag. He tells Billy that Hoppy is dead after trying to defend his mother from his father, and the man shot him. Tick breaks down and laments the fact that he couldn't save the boy. This inspires him to step up and help train Billy, and gets him to promise that no matter the outcome, he won't stop working on himself for his daughter's sake. 30 days have passed and the judge grants Billy the right to bring Layla over to his new apartment. Still upset with him, that time alone allows them to reconnect. They visit Maureen's grave, and while there, Billy tells Layla he's going to fight for the title, and tells her he will bring her with him. Days and nights are spent pushing himself to his limit. The night of the fight comes, and Angela brings Layla into a room at the arena where they watch from the TV. Tick and the rest of Billy's crew stand by his corner, and when the fight commences, Miguel starts to rock Billy's face in. His eye gets pounded in, but he's still able to see clearly, and the two go at it for 12 rounds. Miguel gets in Billy's head by bringing up Maureen in an attempt to unhinge him. Tick manages to settle him down, reaffirming their training and reminding him not to let his anger control him. Billy gets his head back in the game and starts to improve his defense while getting in some good punches. Timing it perfectly, he delivers a sweet punch to Miguel's face, knocking the man down, but not out. When time runs out and after a close decision, Billy is crowned the new champion. Dropping to his knees, he whispers to Maureen that they did it, as Tick and Layla watch on. After the fight, Layla goes to Billy, where they hug for the first time in a long while. Billy says Maureen would be proud of her, and she tells him she loves him, and they continue to embrace. Let us know if you enjoyed watching Billy's heartbreaking story of redemption in the comments below, and if you want more movies like this one, check out our latest recap of Rambo: Last Blood.